Yeah. Let me jump in. It is 7 o'clock, so officially, according to our agenda, we're calling the meeting to order. We do have a quorum, so we can move on. Roz, I do not see Scott on the call yet, so if you would take a moment and do a little bit of the minute taking, we'd very much appreciate that. For those of you who are unfamiliar with the agenda for tonight, the second order of approval, and we'll get this in just a moment, approval of the minutes from November 10th. Is there a motion?
Motion.
Is there a second?
I second.
Okay. Any questions or comments about the minutes? And again, Scott's not here, but thank him for putting those together. All in favor of the approval of the minutes, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carries. Let's take a quick moment, since several of you have jumped on the call, and just note we need to introduce ourselves tonight because we've got several guests on the call tonight. First off, I'll introduce myself. My name is Gordon Miller. I'm the chair of the committee. That's why I'm sort of running the meeting, and have been on. Interestingly enough, David keeps commenting on it. I've been on this committee now. This is my 31st year of being on this or one of the other parts of the committee. I go back to 1989 when we began putting the town of Matthews together in terms of looking at environmental issues. What we'll do, if I may, is I'll just recognize folks. Roz, if you would introduce yourself.
Hi, I'm Roz Cumming. I'm the staff liaison for this committee. I work for the town in the Public Works Department as a Public Works Administrative Officer.
Okay, David?
I'm David Ross. I've been a committee since 98, for the Environmental Committee since 97. Gordon, you joined in 99. And
I was
here. I advised the two youths who are joining us today. That's about it.
And we'll get them to introduce themselves in a moment. Andrew, if you would.
Yes, I'm Andrew Steinecker. I am vice chair, maybe?
Yes.
Anyway, nice to see everybody.
Okay. Odell, you're next.
Odell Armstrong, Ops Manager for Republic Services.
Okay. Now, Mark, I don't know if you're on or off because it indicates that you are not speaking, so I'll just introduce yourself. Mark is a member of the community who's expressed an interest in all the things we do, and his microphone is off, so we'll leave it at that. Ollie, you're next.
I'm Ollie, and been a member of the committee a long time. You can tell by the beard. But anyway, I very enjoy this committee. I hope everybody who's here will understand how this is a great committee.
Okay, Hannah, you're next.
Hi, everyone. My name is Hannah Ross. I'm David's daughter, and I'm excited to speak to you guys today. I'm a student at Appalachian State University.
Okay, and just to give you a note of warning, we're on item number 2, heading towards item number 3 on the agenda, and you are part of 4B. So you'll be in just a moment. Now, Adam, you're the last one to introduce yourself.
Absolutely. My name is Adam Garrison. I'm the Vice President of Projects for Enactus Appalachian, an organization that Hannah and I are both in. But for all purposes, I'm Hannah's friend today. So thank you for having me.
Okay. At this point, thank everybody for participating in the meeting today. It's time to move on to the item 3, which is the action item list. And I'm grabbing a copy of it right here. And that's what it looks like. Okay. And Odell, I hate to tell you this, but it's got your name on it. Do you happen to have it in front of you? And go ahead and turn on your microphone.
Odell, tell us what's going on with Rob.
Rob's actually took a promotion. He's becoming a director of operation and moving to Houston, Texas. He's actually he left this week. So yeah, he's moving on.
Great,
Okay.
Rob. We can tolerate Houston.
Yeah.
Okay. Action items got your name on it. Have you got it in front of you yet?
No, Gordon. Go ahead, Jimmy.
Okay. It has to deal with the customer service unable to identify a town of Matthews resident and giving out incorrect information. And
I can tell you, we're still dealing with that. When they did the audit, there's some addresses that still never showed up. So when they call in and we're getting the addresses, we're getting them set up and getting the account set up for them, because there's still some that are not showing up. Like when Ross sent them over, once we get it and we know it's not set up, we get it set up and send Roz an email letting her know that the new account has been set up, because she sent some addresses over and when we, again, like I said, when they did the audit, some addresses still just didn't show up. So some of them are still not in there. So we're adding them as we find them.
Okay. So this is still an open item?
I mean, it'll probably be, if at that rate, it'll probably be open a lifetime unless you guys got a complete address list that you can send us.
Well, it's been open since October 2017. So we'll just keep it open another month.
Yeah. I mean, but that's the biggest thing of it. And they're like I said, again, they didn't show up in the audit, didn't find them, and so they weren't able to be put in. So,
okay, everybody agreeable to keeping that item open? Okay. Next item, we're at 4A, which is Republic Report, and Odell will give you the floor.
Again, let me get my stuff up in the truck, get it up in front of me. I have to go to my email and get it pulled up. And that's the hang on 1 minute. And that's plastic back. All right, the sanitation report. We'll make sure which one you're looking at. Got the ones with the tons in it, or the other?
Well, at this point, we normally just talk about general activities going on and then get into that.
Okay. Well, yard waste has seemed to settle down a little bit. Yard waste was pretty, I think some emails were flying earlier about I think you sent out one, David, about how the recycling percent went up. And it's mainly due to the yard waste. Yard waste tons were very high this month, 300, as you can see, 392.40 tons. So it was pretty heavy the first part of the month. A lot of days we ran some extra trucks, even just trying to get it picked up. But it seems to have settled down a little bit right now so far this week going into December. But it was very, very heavy this year. Trash seemed to be pretty much on point, and recycling was about the same also.
Okay. How about, David, you made a comment concerning bags.
Yes, Adele and I have discussed how his crews for the past few weeks have been putting the plastic bags that hold leaves in the garbage cans. And Odell has told me time and again that he's given his field people instructions. They are to carry the bags with them, not put them in the garbage cans. And I'd also like to say, from my perspective, they've been doing a great job with yard waste collection.
Thank you, Dave. Yeah, and some of and one of the things that, like, you emailed me the other day with, I know this month is with so many bags, with the actual yard waste trucks don't have anywhere to put them but tie them on the side. But once they get full, one of the things they've done, they have put some in the trash cans, but it's in front of the driver, and they call the trash driver and let him know that they put them in there and they dump them. I think they put some in a box that they left, and then the bulk truck didn't pick it up. But David called me, we come back and picked it up. So it's like I said, this month it's just been more. It's just November was a lot more than usual. As you can see, the tons they practically doubled in November. So twice as many bags. So and we can't put them in. We can't mix them in the back with the yard waste. So they have no other option, either try to find the trash truck or put them in a can or something and let the trash driver know so they can pick them up, because you don't want us to leave them on the ground. But like I said, this month was just more than usual. As you can see, we're double.
Okay, before we get into comments and complaints, let me just run through the group. Other questions and comments for Odell? Okay, hearing none, I'm going to put it in front. It's the one that has the bar chart at the bottom. That's the comments and complaints. Just looking at it, the total for November was 53 complaints compared with October of 31, September of 59, 54 in August, and what is it? I don't have a gray light here. It looks like 64 for July. Any questions or comments about what those comments and complaints were about? If none, I do have one. There was an issue with a backyard pickup. Hello, Scott. Okay. Odell, what was going on with that backyard complaint?
Which one? You have to remind me of it, Gordon.
Was it a miss or a...
Which one are you talking about, Gordon?
Yeah, which one are you talking about?
It's in November, and it's the last one, and it says backdoor problems or miss.
Oh, yeah.
I just wondered about that because it's unusual to have that.
Find it on this. So I found it. It was, we added a new backdoor resident, and I sent over the new list and asked them to add that person. And then the next time we did pick up, they missed her.
Okay. So it was a recent ad is what's going on.
Yes. And it was on Summersby Lane.
Okay. Any other questions or comments for our colleague from Republic?
I don't have any.
Okay. Anybody else?
It's nice to see you again, Odell.
Yeah.
Seeing you. Nice seeing you. Good seeing you. Everybody. Tough times these days.
For a little while, we may be seeing you.
Yeah, you may be seeing me for a little while. and I'll be a little bit better prepared for the virtual the next time. So
Okay. Any other comments or questions that need Odell's involvement?
Just one comment in agreement with Odell about the extreme amount of yard waste. It has gone up all of this year, and especially in the month of November, and that's causing all our bills to go up also. Just FYI.
Yep. No question about that. If there are no other issues for involvement or involving Odell, we can let you go back to being a regular person. You can get off the Zoom call, or you can stick around. Whatever your pleasure.
All righty. Oh, they want me to stay on for their presentation. What time is their presentation?
Very good. And that's our next item. So we're going to turn it over to Hannah, and you got to speak to the group.
All right, I'm going to try to share my screen, and hopefully the permissions will allow it. Can everyone see?
Yes.
All right. Just one moment. All right, Hannah.
Thanks, Adam. So hi, everyone. As we said earlier in introductions, my name is Hannah Ross, and I'm joined by Adam Garrison, and we are from an organization called Enactus at Appalachian State University up in Boone, North Carolina. And today we're here to talk to you about C6 Appalachian, which is our plastics project that we want to hear what you think about it. So first off, I'm going to start a little bit about what Enactus is. So Enactus is a global entrepreneurship organization in 36 different countries around the world that amplifies students to take a look at their own communities and see what projects and businesses we can create that address the United Nations 17 Sustainable Development Goals. These are the goals like zero hunger, reduced inequalities, equal education, life on land, life on water, that really help communities, and the UN wants to accomplish these goals by a certain date, and we're doing our part to help them do that.
So after hearing that we create projects to try and satisfy needs in our communities, we wanted to share our primary project, C6 Appalachian. So right before I begin, I just want to make sure, can everyone hear me all right, or should I just talk much louder? No objections, then I'll just stay the same. So our project is C6 Appalachian. And to start, we wanted to share our primary mission for C6 Appalachian. And it's important to note that this is a fully fledged business. This isn't something out of the university anymore. This is now becoming something very real. So our mission is to rejuvenate what was once seen as single-use plastic to create practical products to address social and environmental needs in our communities. So what this means is we want to create products to try and serve these needs for the community. So the first two that we want to solve, our primary two, are the social and environmental issues that we think that we can make an impact with for this project. So first, we want to create personal protective equipment to help prevent the spread of COVID-19, namely our touchless door openers, which we've been working on for designs for a while, because it just reduces the amount of contact you're going to have with these areas with a lot of contamination, like door handles. And another one is we are trying to help reduce the impact of sexual assault on college campuses. And this way, we're going to try and create our own free whistles that we will be able to distribute out amongst our community here at Appalachian State University. But more than this, our project is more than just a project. It is a true business. So we're going to create any objects from the size of pennies to park benches. I mean, this can be flower pots, kitchen sets, reusable bottles, shoes, furniture, anything, straws, but that'd be sort of ironic. Probably not the best idea. But the idea is that we can make anything from small to large using the process which we're going to talk about right now. So the first, our process comes in 3 phases. Initially, we have to collect, sort, and clean. Then we have to shred, and then we melt and mold. So while I'm not sure how much y'all know about plastics, I just wanted to run along the idea of plastic mold injection very quickly, because it's very interesting. So first, we just gather high density polyethylene plastic from bottle caps. We sort these by color and type. We then clean them just using a regular washing machine, which you'd have in your house. It works surprisingly well. And then you're able to take these cleaned, sorted bottle caps, and you can use a shredder to shred these down into small fibers, small shreds that we can use to in our mold injection machines to make our products. And it's interesting because we have 3 different types of shredders, which we're going to try and have in the next few years. Initially, right now, we have a hand crank shredder. So we're just, we're putting it together right now. We just got the last 2 pieces from Denver Water Jet Company near Hickory. And we're just going to start shredding these bottle caps the best we can using our arm strength. Next, we're going to apply, we're going to attach a bike to it. And then hopefully in the near future, we're going to have an electric shredder. So we don't have to go through all that elbow grease trying to shred up this plastic. So then once it's shredded, we just store it in bins. And then whenever it's time, we pull it out. We're able to just melt the plastic using the machines that we have purchased, namely a compression oven and a plastic extruder. And then after the plastic is melted, all you do is inject it into the mold. And these machines, they do not come cheap. However, we are lucky enough to have a large sponsor behind us, and I'll let Hannah talk about it.
Thanks, Adam. So this summer, the finance team went through an application process to apply for the Ford College Community Challenge. And what that challenge is it's where Ford looks at teams not in Enactus, but college students doing great things for their community all around the world. And they pick 7 teams out of a plethora of countries and award them a $25,000 grant to financially fund their process. And so we are lucky enough to have been selected as one of the winners this year of the Ford College Community Challenge and awarded a $25,000 grant, which is substantially helping with the price of machinery that we need and a location to produce as well. And we are really glad that Ford sees the confidence, or Ford has the confidence in us to execute this project. And Adam is going to tell you a little bit more about the practicality and environmental impact we have now.
Absolutely. Hannah and the financial team, they were able to convince Ford. So I'm going to try very quickly to convince y'all that this project is great too. So I think there are 3 main reasons to be a believer in this project. First, it's practical, as Ford seems to agree. We have free or cheap plastic material, because since we're able to just take it all from recycling, we are taking what people would normally discard as waste, which makes it free, essentially. We have a low cost of labor, which is always fantastic. One of the greatest things about working with university students. And we also don't need a ton of space to get started. I mean, people are very passionate about the project, and we have already been scouting out locations like less than 350 square feet to get started. So we have all those things which are very practical benefits for what we're doing. And it's also sustainable from a business perspective. We have a feasible business model, which was chosen for first place for the National Enactus Early Stage Project. And this was competing with universities around the nation, University of Texas, and Hannah could tell you more. But this is a well thought out idea, which it seems to have a lot of pull from educated and experienced people. More than this, we have dedicated advisors, and we have an incredibly passionate team, which is constantly growing. So even when Hannah and I have to leave in a few years, whenever we're finished with university, we're going to have people we can pass this down to maintain the sustainable business model. And finally, the most important are the environmental reasons. We are literally turning people's trash into treasure. This will help to reduce the waste in landfills, and it's agreeable with people from all walks of life. I know a lot of times you can have a green message and people can get, flustered with it, and they say, oh, that can't be practical. But with this one, this is a heavily entrepreneurial, business-centric, environmental message as well. It's a win for everyone involved. And finally, we have a dedication to measurable outcomes, measurable impact. We have one team member on the Enactus, the C6 team, whose entire purpose is just to try and measure our impact on our community. So she is, completing reports, finding new ways for us to just be a little bit greener in our ways. I mean, she's working right now to try and this new type of insulation for the building we're going to start renting out. And so those are reasons why this project is worth hearing about, at least in my opinion.
So now that you've heard a little bit about C6 Appalachian, we have some next steps that we'd like to run by you all. So first off, we would like to implement a plastic collection system in Matthews and the surrounding areas. We think that one viable way to do this is to go into the CMS school system. We've seen it succeed in Cabarrus County, and essentially students were asked to bring in bottle caps to their classroom, and we know that there are some students going into physical CMS schools now, and we think that this would be a great way to not only build community in the schools and introduce a little bit of competition. We'd love to make it a class competition like we had when we were in elementary school, winning class gets a pizza party. I know we did something like that at ELE, but it's a great way for students to not only help us with our project, but learn about the importance of recycling. And that's really what we are all about at C6 Appalachian. We want to show our communities that when you put effort into recycle your plastic or reuse an item, it quite literally turns into someone's treasure. And we think that's extremely important to teach young students. I know I had it for me just attending these committee meetings when I was younger, and I think it's incredibly useful to have in a young student's life. Additionally, I know if Adele is still on here, we would love to ask about the feasibility of collecting plastic and environmental plants in the area, specifically with Republic. If it's a problem that Republic is seeing a lot of HDPE plastic or bottle caps in their plants, we would love to take it off of their hands. Secondly, we would love to spread the word in the Matthews area. This may be through press releases or word of mouth, but we just truly believe that the community members should hear about this project, and we want to get them having a conversation about recycling and reusing their products, and especially with everyone in their homes using lots and lots of bottles or any kind of product. The caps are stacking up. We want to take them off their hands. And finally, we want to just gain some advice and expertise from the committee here tonight. We recognize that we are two business students with not much scientific background, although we are quickly and thoroughly learning about the importance of plastic and what it entails in the recycling process. But we would love to hear from you all and hear what you think. And I believe with that, we are going to open the floor for questions. So feel free to just shout out with any questions you may have. And if you think of anything after the meeting concludes, please feel free to take a picture of our emails and send us an email afterwards.
Okay, the floor is open.
Do you guys have any examples of products that you've actually made from recycled plastic, or is that phase 2?
Yes, right now we are still on not just collecting, but we have literally yesterday, we just got the final 2 parts for us to begin shredding. So by January, we have already created CAD models, for our touchless door openers. And that's going to be our first proof of concept. So after we get those touchless door openers, then we're going to expand into other devices. I know right now we are looking towards whistles. We're very big on the flower pots, and whenever students are, I know, but in Boone, flower pots just sell like mad. I don't understand. Very green place. But more than that, we're looking to have other things. But you're right in this time right now, we have not created a product from plastic yet, but that was going to happen very soon.
Do you have access to I'm assuming you're going to be doing injection molding and not extruding, which is a more difficult process, but do you actually have the molds?
Yes, we do have the molds ready. We are working, our design lead, Patrick McDonald, he is just fervent about this process. And throughout this through this time, he's the one who's been getting the parts for the shredder. He's the one who's been creating these models, these CAD models. So now that we have the shredder made, we're ready to go.
And my last question, are you picking up bottle caps? Are you expecting people to send bottle caps? What's your method of acquisition?
So we are able to physically pick up the bottle caps. Whatever system is set in place, I know with Cabarrus County, we just drove down to the recycling center that Kevin Grant, if any of you know him, sustainability director for Cabarrus County, heads up, and we just went and picked up the caps from him where he had them sitting in the recycling center. But if we are to implement this in the community, especially in the schools, we are physically able to drive down to Charlotte or Matthews or wherever it may be and pick them up. We have substantially large vehicles that we can fit the caps in, and we have somewhere to store them as well.
Okay, I'm going to jump in for just a second. It turns out in Charlotte-Mecklenburg, the school system is meeting exactly right now, discussing whether they're going to go all virtual.
Wow.
So we may have a little bit of a thorn in the side of the concept, because if they decide to go all virtual for the next several months, getting them through the schools may be an issue. We'll have to just wait and see what their decision is. That's not one of those things we can jump in on. Have you looked at, in that same vein, have you looked at other opportunities such as, and I think you're all familiar with Harris Teeter and Publix, they all collect plastic bags. Is there a thought that you could approach somebody like that, or a group like that, where people are already bringing stuff in, single-use plastic bags, and discharge also their bottle caps?
So we actually did briefly look into that process a few months back. Things may have changed with COVID. We used some of their plastics bags for a different project we were working on last year. It's a little more difficult just because of the corporate structure. But one thing that I was thinking about as you were talking was, if the schools are all virtual, would it be a possibility to work with churches or temples in the area, as well as the community center? I know I still go up to the community center with the Matthews Playhouse in it by Matthews Elementary School, and I don't know if they're open, or if there are more central locations in the Matthews area that are open where people could bring their caps.
And the answer would be, yeah. Have you looked at those? And that would take approaching town council on that, just to make sure that they are involved in making that happen, so that they are aware of it. We'd be glad to help you with that. That's not an issue at all, but it's just a matter of touching the appropriate bases. The only thing that you would have to have, you mentioned, Hannah, about the community center. You may want to take a look at the facilities that the town has in addition to the community center. I'm thinking about the library / town hall. That's a place that people go to pretty regularly. The library, of course, is the one. And it also, I'm going to throw in an advertising thing. Again, some of you are business majors. If you had some kind of a container that had advertising on it, would you be able to do a better job of collecting?
Yeah, we would. We've actually done some research on that ourselves. Good,
because that's going to be helpful.
And then another centralized location where there are a lot of caps are the stadiums, where they sell, bottles of Coke and Sprite, et cetera. And they collect all of that, obviously, and you'd have to sort through it, but it's all in one spot.
And that would include, Andrew, you're thinking about the Sportsplex, which we have in Matthews. And we do have the Mara facility also of the same kind. So the Sportsplex could be reached through the Parks and Rec and Cultural Activities Committee. Mara is a separate entity. So you'd have to find out who you can talk to there. I'm sure they have a website. I haven't done anything with Mara in years. My youngest is past 40, so I don't have much involvement anymore with the Mara crowd. So, but checking with them, that would be a good place to take a look. And again, probably on the concept of the supermarket or something like that, that might be something where you can just get to the store manager and say, can we put a box out front, or whatever your concept is, to make that happen, and go from there.
I just wanted to mention that the Sportsplex is actually run by Mecklenburg County, the Sportsplex.
Okay. We have money in that, but okay. Very good, Roz. We put some money into that through the town. Other comments or questions? Thoughts and ideas?
I like it. Have you thought about scalability? I mean, that's the next issue.
Yes, and it's a very interesting thing to talk about. One of the main reasons we chose this project initially is because it was inspired by an initiative called Precious Plastics, which y'all might have heard of. And I'm just going to go ahead and stop sharing my screen at this point, if that's all right. Whenever we're looking at precious plastics, one of the most intriguing things about that initiative was that this was something designed that to be run and started in anywhere from first world to third world countries. So there are designs from Precious Plastics talking about how you can turn, the motor of a car into a possible shredder. And we thought that this was a very interesting idea in the mountains, where we can go and where recycling is big in these like large hubs, but spread out among, rural areas. This is a feasible idea that you can take into a rural area and expand, not just expand your one area in Boone, but you can also have little areas and plastic collection facilities all amongst the high country or all throughout North Carolina. Now that's a big dream. And look, we haven't even, made a product yet. So I'm not trying to be too much of a dreamer, but there is a lot of room for scalability here, especially with other Enactus teams.
And in terms of business scalability, I mean, we designed it in a way that it could be picked up from Boone tonight and placed in Seattle tomorrow, as long as they have the startup capital for the machinery and location to produce, because we can get our stuff to manufacture, which is the plastic that's available everywhere. And, we recognize that everyone uses bottle caps, so there will always be material to produce. And that's another great thing about this project is the model that we created can be scaled to any location as long as they have the resources that they need.
And further on that, you've identified and you're focusing on HDPE. There's the low density side. Is there any other plastic that you could utilize in this system? The shredding concept, injection molding, we do that with an awful lot of different plastics to make an awful lot of different things. So is there an opportunity to drop in other plastic materials rather than just focus on bottle caps?
So we chose bottle caps initially just because it's a problem that we noticed a lot in the high country in the Boone area. We did try to do something with plastic bags at first, and we saw that the density and the texture of the plastic is a little difficult. But it honestly comes down to whatever can get through the shredder the easiest and whatever melts the best to have that consistency that we need for the mold injection.
Yeah.
So we haven't tested out a bunch of other plastics yet, just because we don't want to ruin the machines. But we're open to exploring the science behind it, and it's just going to take some research and some trial and error. But if we can find another plastic that's more available and easier to obtain than bottle caps, we are happy to produce with it. It all just comes down to how well it works with our machinery.
And I would recommend taking a look at that, because there's an awful lot of other plastics out there. You went into the low density with the plastic bags and stuff, but the polyester crowd, there's an awful lot of that that's out there also that could be useful. And that gets into actually the bottles. The bottles, many of the Coke bottles and things like that are polyester materials, and they could be very much an opportunity to do it, as well as other kinds of bottles, which are going to go back principally to the polyethylene side and going from there. Other questions for the group? Okay. I think at this point, you've sort of heard our thoughts and stuff. Let me recommend that in January you come back to us and say, hey, we've thought about these things, and where can we inject ourselves, the committee, into helping this move along? See what's going on. What are the next steps? Should we approach town hall and say, can we put a bucket out in front in the community center? The school system, you're going to have to go on that one on your own because we don't have any impact on that. That's a bigger issue sitting out there. That's not for us. In terms of getting stuff into the newspaper, that's relatively easy. In terms of the Charlotte Observer, we have the local Mid-Hill Matthews thing. What's that guy's name? Justin, David, you know him.
Justin Vick. I've been contributing to the newspaper, so I could probably write an article regarding this.
Yeah.
I definitely could write an article about this, which they most likely will print as they have the past few weeks.
Okay. So I think there's not. Go ahead, Santa.
We do have a process with articles that are published, just because any article that is published about C6 Appalachian, the project, needs to be approved by Ford Motor Company. But then once the magazine or newspaper publishes it, then we share it with Ford, and they have the opportunity to share it on their blogs and social media and everything like that as well. So we can, if you all need an article, we can get you an article as long as you tell us kind of the angle that you want. If you want it to be more environmentally focused, student focused, whatever you want to put out in the newspaper, and we can get it approved by Ford, and then it will be sent back to you all to publish. We just have to make sure that we go through our process that's outlined in our grant.
And one of the things I'm going to add in a little bit of flavor of entrepreneurship, because that one's a good one. Here are students who are being entrepreneurial also. So, not only are you dealing with creating a business process, you're also being entrepreneurial about it, not piggybacking it onto some other organization or something like that. Now, yes, the university is involved, but you don't have to say that.
Actually, the university is not really involved.
Yeah. Okay. Anything else for the folks?
Wish you luck.
Yeah. And just keep coming. What you see in terms of stuff around us, Hannah, I'll pick on your dad for a second. He knows a fair amount about plastics. I was in the plastics business for about 20 some years. It was the film business. So plastic films is the world I was in. But I also had compounders and other things in my practice. So know a fairly large amount about what's going on, what's happening, and may be able to point in certain directions. Others in the group may also have experience. And let me comment that Andrew Steinecker is a lawyer, an environmental lawyer. So you have some, maybe some free legal advice. I'm not sure if you want to take it. Andrew, I won't say anything more about it. Yeah, there are a lot of jokes out there about what free legal advice is worth. And I wouldn't say anything about it going from there. But you've got some folks to bounce stuff off of. You're seeing Scott over there. He's got his microphone off, but Scott's an environmental director for a company here in the Charlotte area. He can give you some thoughts and ideas on that also. And there's Odell down there. He's quietly listening, but he may be an opportunity for a big resource also in terms of raw materials. And that's one of the reasons I brought up the options for plastics, because right now there is an awful lot of plastic that's going to his landfill that is not being recycled at all. And if we can begin to do stuff, and you brought up some things about furniture and some other larger objects which take larger amounts of material, there may be some opportunity to do that. Now that's going to change your dynamics on the 350 square feet, because you're going to have injection molding equipment that's going to be 350 square feet. And that does include the feeds and everything else, and then the warehousing and whatever. But he may be able to help you a little bit there, and I'll let him speak for that. I can't speak for him on that, but there may be some opportunities because they're getting it from the MRF that's up north of downtown. They're segregating that out, the plastics that are coming out. And you may have actually a relatively straightforward stream. I don't know what it looks like. I've never seen it, but you may have a stream that's there coming out of the MRF. And most communities do have some form of a MRF, and because there's no market right now directly for the non-bottle plastics, there may be some opportunity for you to grab into a little bit of that.
I know Mecklenburg County would be very happy to give you a tour of our recycling facilities, and they would let you take all of the plastic bottle caps you could possibly carry.
Okay, and let me add in that Andrew is our representative to the Solid Waste Advisory Committee for the county. So there would be an opportunity through Andrew to get that tour through Smithberger and his group. David, what's his name? Used to be an heir. What's his name? Joe. Yeah, to get into that through him also. Yeah. And that you can work through your dad probably, Hannah and Adam. That's not your dad, but you could probably get. Hannah's been coming to our meeting since she was what, 8 years old, 7 years old,
Something like that.
Yeah. So, but there are opportunities to get folks into that. So, but
Actually, Adam's dad also knows a little bit about plastics.
Yeah.
Isn't it your dad, Adam?
That's right. My dad was involved in that industry for a short time. Yes. So I was talking to him about it, and it was sort of interesting that he just knew all this stuff, but he never told me.
Okay. Very good. Is there anything else before the group on this? Okay. So Hannah and Adam, if you're welcome, I'm going to say it. You're welcome to come back in our January gathering and start to pose questions, and maybe we can come up with some actions that would be appropriate for furthering your activity and going from there. If nothing else, am I hearing anything else? If not, let's move on to our next item under 4B. And this doesn't involve you, Adam and Hannah directly, but we were talking about single-use plastic bags. And I've got something that many of you got in a very draft form. And I'm going to step away for a second.
Hey, Jordan, I'm going to go ahead and get off. Hey, and everybody stay safe, and if I don't talk to you, have a Merry Christmas between now and then. Okay?
These are the non-single-use plastic bags that people are giving away. This came from Hilton Head, which is where they banned they banned single-use plastic bags. And guess where I got this one? Okay. The advertising stuff that goes on, they're commenting about using these things. As it says here, your bag can go the distance, which means it's not single use. But guess what it is? It's much the same material, just slightly heavier gauge plastic that goes into making this particular bag that we've got there. So in our discussion last month, we commented about it, and I I was tasked with putting together a draft document, and so everybody had a chance to take a quick look at it. Okay. What was that, Ollie? You got to turn your microphone on. Ollie, you got to turn your microphone on.
You're still muted, Ollie.
There you go. Nope, you're not on yet. Go ahead now.
Okay, I saw it. I've been to Hilton Hill. Yep, I've seen it. Did you hear that?
Yeah, we're hearing you now.
Okay. I've been to Hilton Head, and I've seen the bags. The little green bags that says multiple use.
Okay. Anything else?
Nope.
Okay. I do want to comment. Thanks, Andrew, for sending me that thing from the Solid Waste Advisory Committee, because that's where I started, and that's where I sort of got the ideas of what was going on, and it opened the ideas of talking about the kinds of things that are there.
What's the, as you were writing this, what is your anticipated audience? Who do we think are we going to give this to? Because I think that might guide us in terms of some of the content.
Yeah, and again, I was throwing stuff in. In terms of putting this together, I didn't have exactly an audience in mind. I was thinking of getting some stuff on paper that starts to say, okay, here are sort of the pros and cons of what's going to go on, what's going to happen.
This might be something that Maureen could put in the town newsletter as an educational piece.
And that could be a possibility, although it does talk about things that are not related to, I'm going to use the term quote unquote environmental stuff, because it talks about business activities, things that may not be quite environmental in their direction.